I don't want to tell you you've been fishing your chatterbait wrong, but chances are you haven't been fishing it like this, and we're going to talk about it and explain why you're going to catch a lot more fish on it. All right guys, so we are about a month off of, or several weeks off of my tournament at the Potomac River, and I wanted to make this video to share my experience of what I did wrong and what I did right the next day in the tournament, and hopefully help you guys catch more fish the next time you're out on the water, because it was such an easy mistake that I made the first day of the event, and I was all the way down in 35th or 36th place in the standings. The next day, catch one of the top 5 heaviest bags of the day and move way up the leaderboard all the way to like 14th, 15th place, and actually made the cut, made the knockout round, and then just missed the top 10. So we're gonna break it down, what I did wrong, what I did right, and man, even as long as I've been doing this now, still this process of always learning. And you know, I've been in this situation before too, and it's just frustrating that it took me until the next day and I didn't figure this out the first day of the tournament. So I'm going to share that with you guys. So day 1 of the Potomac River, I get down into the area that I am fishing and throwing a vibrating jig, chatterbait, whatever you want to call it, black and blue, really simple. I went through my area, put the trolling motor down, you know, and just kind of start fishing through this area pretty quick. I knew there was fish in this little bay. I took a chatterbait and just started going. I had the trolling motor on 12, which on a power pull move is like almost 3/4, you know, between half and 3/4, and just moving really quick, throwing underneath the docks, throwing in between the docks, and only caught, I think, 6 fish in this little area the first day. So I bounce around the rest of the day, continue to fish my chatterbait the same way. I'm honestly probably kind of anxious. I felt like I had a good practice, so I'm probably kind of antsy, anxious, just basically fishing way too fast. So at the end of the day, I find myself struggling to get bit, you know, later in the day, later in the periods. Can't get bites. I'm falling down the standings. I'm all the way down in 35th, 36th place, whatever, after day 1. Day 2 rolls around, and at this point, I am really committed on these areas where I knew there was fish. I spent most of my practice just trying to figure out the tide in these same areas. So it wasn't like I had a big expanded, you know, section of the river to fish. I was pretty dialed in on a couple creeks. And day 2, before we started the day, I told myself to get in those areas where you know there's bass and slow way down. I thought about what I did wrong the first day. I felt like I just fished too fast past the fish. So the next day I get out there, and the first hour I'm fishing around, not in my sweet spot, but I'm fishing around, fishing slow, throwing some soft plastics, throwing some chatters, whatever, and I catch a couple. Finally make a move after about 45 minutes, and I get down into the zone that I really want to be in for the day. And man, I turned that dial back on the trolling motor down to like 6. So I cut it back like half from where it was, and just slowed way down. And when I say that, when I'm talking about slowing way down with the chatterbait, I was fishing anywhere from a foot to 3 feet of water. And I would make a long cast and let my bait actually hit the bottom. I wouldn't, the day before, I'd make the cast, engage the reel, and just start reeling and just, you know, kind of burning it back to the boat. The next day I get out there, I throw it out there, I let it hit the bottom, and now I start actually yo-yoing it, feathering it, working it real slow, almost trying to kind of crawl it and just barely hop it through the grass rather than that, you know, pretty fast, steady retrieve. And honestly guys, it made all the difference in the world. That same zone where I caught 6 fish the day before, I think the next day I caught 15 fish right through there, and that's like a 100-yard stretch. It was a really, really small stretch. But again, took that same mindset into all the other places where I knew there was fish and continued to just destroy them that day just by slowing down. So my setup for a chatterbait, it's gonna be the same. And when I say that you've been fishing a chatterbait wrong, it's not wrong to throw it out there and just reel it back. There is a time and a place for that, but there's also the time and the place to slow down. And you really just have to listen to what the fish are telling you. And the day before, when I fish through there really quick and I caught 6 and just move on and don't slow down, those fish were really, they were telling me, hey dude, you gotta slow down. You just fished through here super fast. You only caught 6 fish. You know, had I known the day before, I would have caught a lot more and wouldn't have been so stressed the next day. If you guys want the best locks out there on the market, check out Bolt Locks. It remembers your truck key the very first time you use it, so you only need 1 key for all your locks. I use them on my locker bar, my trailer hitch, and the trailer tongue, and even my spare tire. So my setup is a 7'5" medium heavy rod. This rod's got a lot of butt to it, but a soft tip, so it loads up really nice. I throw it on 17-pound fluorocarbon. If I'm fishing deeper with a vibrating jig, chatterbait, I'll throw it on 15, and sometimes even, you know, if it's really heavy cover, really big fish, I'll even bump it up to 20. But I was throwing 17 at the Potomac River. One thing that I did do too, this is a big learning part, this is actually crucial in what we're talking about, is the first day I had, Bobby Lane's my roommate, he convinced me to do this. Bobby, I'm not mad at you, but you're not ever convincing me to do this again. He convinced me to put on an 8-to-1, 8-3-to-1 gear ratio reels. And I always throw a vibrating jig, chatterbait, on a 6.6 or a 6.4. And so I also think that that was a crucial mistake that I made that first day, is I had my baits on too fast of reels, and it just wasn't allowing me to really slow down like I needed to. So the next day when I caught them really good, went back to my setup, I knew after that first day, I'm like, man, I fished too fast. Re-spooled everything on the 6.6s, 6.4s, and that's the reel that I'm always gonna use on chatterbait from now on. Especially, you know, it doesn't matter, even more so in the dead of winter, you could even go down to a 5.4, 5.2, really slow reel just to be able to crawl that chatterbait in even deeper water. But man, that made a huge difference for me, guys. So think about your gear ratio, think about how fast you're actually moving that bait through the water. Are you just reeling it, or are you actually working the bait through the grass, slowing it down, letting it fall? Can't tell you how many times, even with the water was 90 degrees, 92 degrees up there, how many times just crawling it through there, and then I get it over a piece of grass and I let it fall and I feel dink, you know, and that fish eats it on the fall. So you would think with the water that warm, they would have been super aggressive, but that just wasn't the case. All right, so good chatterbait to throw. This is one that I really like. This is a 1/2 ounce slobber knocker. And this trailer, this is an amazing bait. It's so good on a Texas rig, so good as a jig trailer, but also really, really good on the back of any kind of vibrating jig. So this is a Pit Boss, a 4-inch Pit Boss. You can pull tails off of there if you want something a little more slimmer. Or, you know, if you put a green pumpkin one on, you can dye the tail chartreuse. But that trailer is really killer, guys. So yeah, I mean, there's all different kinds of vibrating jigs out there on the market, you know, and all different kinds of trailers too. But I think every lake is a little unique, or every river, whatever, on what type of trailer they like. Are they feeding on bait? Are they feeding on bluegill, you know, or shad, whatever, bluegill, crawdads, all that kind of stuff matters in what trailer you're gonna pick. So, all right, so the lesson learned in this deal is to slow down with the chatterbait, especially if you're fishing around a lot of people. Especially if you're fishing out of the back of your buddy's boat, you want to beat him in the front. Chances are he's probably going to be fishing a little bit faster than you in the back, fishing a little bit slower. But man, just really picking it apart, slowing down. Think about your gear ratio on your reel. Think about the weight of the chatterbait too. 1/2 ounce for me was a big deal over a 3/8, just to keep it down lower in the water column, closer to the grass. So there's a lot more to it than we think. You know, a lot of times, like I did the first day of the tournament, I just tie everything on, go out there and start chunking and winding. And I was so close to having a really good first day, and instead put myself in a position, you know, that I had to make this big comeback the second day. Could have been a lot less stressful on day 2 if I would have just started out day 1 better. So anyways, guys, I hope that helps you catch more fish, you know, on a vibrating jig, chatterbait. It certainly is something I'm always going to look back on from here on out, and make sure that I'm thinking about those things when I pick this bait up. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, check out some of our stuff. It is almost the end of the season, so we're going to have a lot more stuff coming your way, and we appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time.